Hey, what's going on, my horned melons? And today we got another class mod for you. Now, for the other class mods, we always kind of talk about when they're good early game, when they're good late game, when they're good for story-driven, things like that. And this one, hey, it's really good for actually early up until late. It has a really good build-up for it. Not only that, but it's a really good story device that you can use to really show off your good and evil characters, whether that's within the actual playable characters or some NPCs. So let's talk about Light and Dark release. Now, of course, per usual, we got to talk about our class mod considerations. And when it comes to these, it's a lot like all the other class mods that we've talked about. For one, do not give this to someone who has min-maxed their character for it. They're going to be too strong. It's going to be too OP. Plain and simple, easy does it. Secondly, don't give this to a person that's already struggling with their character. If they're already having a really hard time handling their resources, handling their actions, trying to figure out what to do, taking really long turns, don't give them more stuff to go over. It's just not going to go well. And lastly, be sure not to give this to just one player. If you're going to give one player a class mod, you need to give the other players at least some kind of pseudo buff. Because if you don't, they're going to fall behind really, really quickly. And it's going to become a game of just watching the one character that has some kind of release stomp everything, and the other character's just sitting in the back watching it happen. So keep that in mind whenever you start adding class mods into a game. You're going to have to buff the other player characters as well. So you've done your considerations, and hey, you want to do it. Awesome. Let's talk about light release first. Now, for light release, honestly, really similarly to dark release, actually gaining it is going to be pretty much up to you. I would just make it fit into your story. The books will kind of give you a general idea on narrative and how to take it and things you can kind of pseudo-name it as well to fit your plotline, but just try to get creative with it. I mean, one of the most fun parts of D&D is having an original creative story, so try to find some way to either reflavor text or just rework actually gaining this light release power. Now, as for actually leveling up the light release, it's very unique compared to a lot of other things, and again, you can reflavor text things how you want to reflavor them. But as it talks about here and you can read, you're basically going to be connecting to other living spirits and other souls and things like that. And the more things you start to connect to and bond with, the higher the level of your light release is going to go. Now, if you see that someone is finding a way to kind of, cheese this a little bit and they're making connections really fast and leveling up, just up the cap that they have to hit. If it was 2 and they get 2 way too quickly, so they're leveling up their mod really fast, just make it 3, make it 4. It's really nice because it's a very easy solution and a very easy thing that you can kind of gauge and scale how you need it to be. So getting into the fun stuff, talking about your light release class features, first off is going to be your light seal. Now, this can take any form or shape on the body as some kind of mark. That's not important. It's mostly flavor. What you need to know is, one, when you activate it, that's when you can start to do your other arts because it actually gives you access to your light chakra, which we'll talk about next. After that, it heals you and allies around you. One important thing to note is this is actually what you're going to use to link and bond to people, leveling the thing up like we talked about. When you bond with someone, there is a negative side. So while I talked about not letting someone just bond willy-nilly, there is actually some risk involved in it. And what's going to happen is if you bond to a creature and this creature ends up dying, and it talks about this over here, a few things happen. One, whenever you bond with them, you have to permanently give them a hit die and chakra die from you to them. That's it. You do not get it back. Even if this person you bonded with dies, it's gone. Another thing to note, in case your campaign for some reason has some kind of reanimation or some kind of revival thing, you can't. You just can't because their soul is completely destroyed, dismembered, however you want to word it, and lost to the world. So a few pretty crucial things there. And you also lose that bond in which it's going to be then way harder to level up in the future. So there is already some built-in negatives, but they're not really that bad. Plus, for most campaigns, death isn't super common or super often, or you give it to a character that you know isn't gonna die anytime soon. So it's something to think about whenever you're given this class mod as a DM. Now, just like any class mod, you get access to a brand new resource that kind of unlocks and allows you to do these cool, unique things. And in this case, it's going to be Light Chakra. You can read through exactly what it does, but again, all in all, it's basically just your extra resource that you're going to be doing for your light release arts and what you're going to be using for jutsus to kind of amplify them and things of that nature while using the light release. Now, light arts, the thing I was talking about earlier, are basically your bonus jutsus, so to speak, and bonus abilities that you're going to gain access to through this light release. I'm not going to go through the entire list of light arts because we would be here for an hour. You can go through them if you would like to, but long story short, again, it's just those special jutsus that you're going to have to use that light chakra for in order to activate and actually do. As for authoritative duality, it's honestly pretty straightforward. Basically, anyone that you've bonded with has the ability to spend all of their chakra die in an action in order to help you with one serious moment, whether that's an attack roll, a damage roll, or some kind of save calculation. And then there's also bonuses when the roll ends up this much higher than the save or the attack or anything of that nature. So that's really neat. Once you hit level 4 of this class mod as well, you can do the same thing back to them. So rather than them helping you, you can actually also help them. So neat little ability of the light release class mod. And second to last here, we have the light chakra cloak, which you don't actually get till you hit the 3rd level of this class mod. So it does take a little bit to unlock. But once you do, you can pop it as a bonus action for 20 of your light chakra. And really, you just gain access to a few extra abilities. You can read through them here. Now, the coolest and final one of Unity, you don't actually get till 5th level, which is the max level of this class mod, so you're not going to have that unless you're playing a really late game campaign. But all in all, it's just an extra ability that you can throw in to have in your arsenal. Now, finally, on our light release side, you're going to get Bane of the Dark. Now, this you only get at the max level, and it's very important to only give this to characters at max level of the class mod because it is utterly broken garbage. Basically, what happens according to this class mod instruction is anytime your players are fighting something that can be seen as evil, cruel, tyrannical, whatever word you want to use, it gains the Bane of the Dark amp, which makes it deal the max possible damage. Yes, that is correct. I did not misread that, nor are you misreading that. It does just make a light art do the maximum possible damage, period, the end. So, yes, this is very game-breaking. It's very absurd. This is clearly very intentionally meant for like a final boss situation, sort of how Naruto and Sasuke at the end of Shippuden get their amp and just go absolutely buck wild. Similar situation here. You get your final amp, you go crazy, all's well ends well. Now, getting to the dark release portion of this class mod video for you. Gaining the dark release, same thing as light release. I'm not going to get super into that. Flavor text it how you will. As for leveling up, it is similar, but not quite the same. Instead of bonding with people and creating those really sincere emotional connections, you're going to be absorbing them to some sort of extent here. And it talks about, right, you can kind of absorb their soul or their spirit. Flavor text it how you will for your campaign. But that's how you're going to level this one up. Rather than connecting with people, you're taking people. Don't think about that too hard. Now again, like a lot of this is going to be, we have the dark seal rather than the light seal. And this thing is just like the light seal, except it's going to work the opposite. So instead of healing people around you, you're going to be damaging or rather lowering the hit points and chakra of enemies around you. And again, kind of we talked about last time, that's what you would use to bond. In this case, this is what you're using to devour. So it gives you your kind of rules and instructions on what you can and can't devour and how to devour it. So, do what you will with this info, and just like the light release, change things if you have to. If you see a character or a player character taking advantage of the rules here and maybe becoming a little too strong too fast, slap some more rules on that, make them devour more people, etc., etc. And hey, imagine this, when you know it, Dark Chakra. Again, your bonus resource, just like Light Chakra, where it's going to be what you use to do a lot of your different dark arts and things like that. And then also you can use it for regular jutsus, amplifying them in different special, cute, quirky ways. For dark arts, it's going to be the same situation here. There's a big list of jutsu-esque abilities and things like that that you can use using that Dark Chakra. If you want to go through the list, feel free. I'm not going to hop through all of them, otherwise this video would be way too long. But again, these are just your different things that you actually get to use through the class mod. The Chimera Technique, I actually think, is the most unique and neat part of the Dark Release. And basically what it is you thrive off the weakness of others due to the evil inside of you whenever you are fighting someone or anything of that nature, and they drop to either less than or equal to 25% of their maximum hit points or chakra points, you get amped, which I think is really unique. And it honestly lets you be a very big snowball fighter of if you can get them down really early, you're just going to get amped higher and you're just going to start dealing more damage. So it lets your character really have this big, bad just presence about them of they just get to absolutely crush those that are weak around them. Now again, just like Light Release, you're going to get a Dark Chakra Cloak, which is going to be exactly the same as the other one, where it's going to be a bonus action and cost you 20 Dark Chakra to pop it and have this cloak start to go over you. Your abilities are going to be a little more unique, so you can sit there and run through them, and you again have a 5th level ability that is, well, as you'd imagine, extremely powerful. And of course, last but not least, we have Bane of Light, which is going to be the inverse of the Bane of Darkness, where anytime you are fighting someone that is, considered holy or good or whatever you want to word it, you get maximum damage. So again, just like we talked about the other one, it is just about as broken as it sounds, where your dark arts are just getting maximum damage, but it really is meant as a final boss-esque type thing where you are just amped to the point of no return and you're just rolling over everything you fight. So as kind of some final thoughts for the class mod and what it is as a whole, I think it's really, really solid as something you can give as a really cool story trope in the beginning, and you can have it be really neat for the characters at the end to be able to just stomp over everything. Because a lot of characters are going to have a bit of that kind of god fantasy in their head of they really want to become the big beast that just can kind of take out and control everything, and this lets them do that in a pretty balanced way up until the point of getting there. So it's a really nice overall campaign that gives you a lot of story-driven things that you can use to your advantage as a DM. So any who's or whatsers, drop a comment down below if you have any questions. All right, I'm always trying to answer and respond to what I can for any confusion because these class mods can be a lot. And if you would, drop a sub. It's free. It's awesome. We have a growing community here that is better than they ever have been. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.